All right, I was trying to show you earlier to turn your parameters and relations on. I suck so bad at videos, I stopped the video and I just kept going on. I did the whole demo and now I'm going to redo it again. So hopefully I get this right, but parameters and relations need to be set on. That's under the common preferences, under object properties, under the 3D shape, under display. You see that we have parameters and relations here. That's interesting. I deleted that. Well, these won't show up if these are not turned on. So if I have these off and hit apply, you won't see those, and you're going to keep creating parameters and ain't nothing going to come up because it isn't turned on to be visible. So step one on this is make sure your parameters and relations is set up. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to hit FX, see if what I got going on here. How could those even be there? It's weird. I accidentally I had to delete it so I could start all over. Oh, it won't even let me delete them now? Oh my god. Well, let's see. I'm going to delete this parameter. Under FX, those are still there. So I'm going to have to delete these out here so I can show you what it looks like. I think what I have to do here is go back to sketch 1. I got to delete these because I've already done the whole demo. So I'm going to have to recreate them from scratch. I'm just going to double check this. Let's close the profile. It's constrained. Exit. Build my pad. Okay, so I have this constraint now, 12 and 13. If I go to Tools, you'll find the FX for the formula icon or feature. The feature formula is what I'm going to use. I've already created that cube length in the previous demo, I hope. I'm going to select the part body, and you see there's tons of them in there. So there's all these parameters in there, and I'm trying to figure out which ones of these are which. So one thing you can do to shorten up this length, shorten up the list, is I can choose length, and it'll show me all the length parameters. So that shortens it up quite a bit. Now if I want to just work with the sketch parameters, I can pick sketch 1 off the tree, and it shows me only sketches working off the tree here, offset 12 and offset 13. There in the tree is offset 12 and 13 in the spec tree. Okay, so I find this easier to get these renamed so I know which is which. If I again select the pad, I can actually see the number. If I click on this number, it highlights it. If I click on this number, it should highlight it. Okay, so if I click on this number here, it gets a little tricky. I might have to rotate it around. Grab that 2-inch here. Oops. Oh, sometimes it's helpful. So there's it's pad 3, first limit. Length is 2 inches. This one here, it goes and finds, sorry, let's see, if I click here, if I click on here, it'll highlight that. click on this one and it'll highlight that. I'm going to shorten this. If I click on this one, it should highlight. It's not. I'm going to click on this one. Let's do this. I'm going to click sketch here, and then hopefully this shows up for you so you can click on this one or this one. Oh, but I don't know which one's X or Y. I'm going to try and click the pad. And again, I'm clicking on these, but it doesn't show me in here. I should be able to click on this and it should pop up. Why is it not doing that? I know it's this one and this one. So if you can find this in the tree, it'll show up here. This is offset 12. This is offset 13. Offset 13 would be width. So I like to rename that all in lowercase. And then offset number 12, I'm going to hit tab. See how it renamed it? And then I'm going to pick offset 12, which is length. And then for the pad, if I pick this length here, it's the only one that has the 2-inch length, and it's the first limit from the pad. So I know that's this one over here, so I click on that, and I'm going to change that to height. So typically, your Z value, is the height, your Y value is your width, and the length goes in the X direction. Now if I hit rename parameters, you can see that I've renamed height, length, and width, and they're all set to 2 inches. The parameter is also set to 2 inches. If I select OK to this and I double click this and I change this to 5, it does nothing to the box. And if I go back to formula, none of these change. I have that cuboid length at 5, but none of those are 5 because they're not linked to the cuboid length. So you want to have your offsets, which are your constraints in your sketch, and your pad offset linked to the parameter. The biggest mistake I see is people try to link the parameter to the offsets. But if you link the parameter to the offset, that means you have to change the offset to get this value to change. My goal is to change this value and make the offsets change. So I want the length, width, and height to equal a formula that's linked to the cuboid length. So from here under length, yeah, I can change this to 3. I can change this to 3. Hit apply. Yeah, it changed to 3. Now I lost my measurement, so I'll recreate those. But that's not linked to the cuboid, right? So I'm going to go back to measure item. To measure that line, and this line, and this line. Say OK. So this one needs to be 3 inches, so I can go back to formula. And I see the height, it still says 2 inches, right? So I click on the height, and I change that to 3. Yeah, you can change all those. That's something I've taught you already in the 185 class, that you can change all those here in the sketch or in the pad. Now you know that you can also change it here in your formulas. But really, I want this length to equal cuboid length. So I got to add a formula. So with the length highlighted in blue, when I hit add formula, it finds in my formula editor the length. And over here it says equals, and it's going to equal whatever's in this white input field. I find it easier if I hit rename to find these things. So there's a couple ways you could do it. You could hit rename, or you could just go right off the tree. If you see in the specification tree, I select Cuboid. Now when I select it one time, nothing happens in the input field. You must double click this to get the cuboid to show up in the input field. Select OK. You'll notice that the length value of 5 equals a cuboid length. So yes, it is linked. And notice it changed to 5 right away. If I hit apply, it changed that one part, this length in X, to 5. If I hit width, there's no formula. So how do I add a formula? Hit the add formula button. So I hit add formula, select rename parameters, and I could select the cuboid here off the tree. Or if cuboid length is here under rename parameters, you can click on that. Again, if I single click it, nothing happens in the input field. What do I have to do to get it to land in the input field? You have to double click that. Now cuboid is in the input field. I'll select OK, and now the length and the width have a value of 5 because there's a formula linked to the cuboid length. I'll select OK. If I double click this length and I type it to 10, what's going to happen to the part? The two parts that have a link to the cuboid formula automatically change to 10 inches in length. If I go back to FX, I have a formula linked to the length width. How about the height? I click on the height and I'm going to add a formula. Notice under the members of all, look, there's so many. How do I make this list shorter and easier to find the ones I want? I hit rename parameter. I'll double click cuboid length. It added cuboid length here in the input field. Unless you see what it's equaling, unless this input field has something, it's not going to equal anything. When I say OK, you must check to make sure that you have this. I have my length, width, and height all in lowercase, recognizing those as constraints. I use capital letters for the parameters. So whatever parameters I have are in the tree. Okay? So that helps me identify anything with lowercase should have a formula. Anything with the uppercase will not have a formula linked to it. When I say OK, it automatically changes everything. In your example, when you make a picture, I want to see your formulas. I want this stretched out long enough so I can see length, width, and height, that they equal the cuboid length, and the cuboid length is shown. So this must be in the specification tree when you make your picture. I also want to see another picture of your volume, mass, center of gravity, so that, and measurements. I want the measurements on there, so when you change this to 5, I see that the cuboid length is 5, you've created a formula, and that the measurements are all at 5. Make sure you do a fit all in, so I get a nice clean view of what it is we're looking at, okay? Move those parameters out, move your measurements out so they look good. Again, the trick to this was linking your constraints to this parameter. If I change this to 15, everything has changed. I'm going to do a fit all in. Okay, I'll move these out, make a snapshot showing my measurements are at 15, my cuboid length is at 15, my length, width, and height are linked to my cuboid, and what I'm not showing is your measure inertia for your mass, volume, center of gravity. So the first 4 or 5 exercises might be real challenging trying to get this parameter stuff down, but most of my students, once they learn this, that's what they do all the time. They always apply parameters. Parameters can be great for, like, example, if you have fasteners. Bolts come in many different sizes and shapes, but if the parameters or the configuration is all the same, you can create parameters for the shaft diameter, for the shaft length, grip length, head size. So you can create all those parameters. You just type in whatever bolt size you want, and it will automatically make it for you. You can create like an ice tray. I want a 12 cube ice tray. You just type in 12 and it creates a 12 cube ice tray. Type in 20, you get a 20 cube ice tray. Maybe you're building an airplane. You want 150 seats, you type in 150 seats, and when you get real good at parameters, you can make a plane that'll be 150 seats. Make 250 seats, it'll just make a plane that's 250 seats once you learn how to set up parameters. That's way above what we're doing right now. I just want to see if you can get a cuboid done where you have your constraints linked to a parameter in the specification tree. Hopefully this task or demo will help you with your task. Good luck.